Welcome, everybody, to the Championship Check-In podcast. We are basking in the international break, so we're going to do something fun for you. Well, hopefully all the podcasts are fun, Sam, but we are entitling this one player I'd sign from every Championship club. Now, Sam, you can perceive this how you see fit. People take it a bit too seriously and they figure out the team they support and where they need a player and what their budget is. Don't worry about any of that. Sam, we're just going to give a shout out to players we're enjoying who might be a kind of fun pickup. We're going to go through every club. How does that sound, mate? And good morning.
Yeah, morning. Sounds really good. Yeah, good fun. Just getting my head around it this morning. Mate, I'm going in depth analysis here, mate. I'm going for sell on value. I'm
Can
going
I
for
get a Parkin narrative?
age profile, sell on value. All that's coming into it. Experience to date, injury record, mate. People that are watching perceive it as you wish, and you can do so. But this is high quality analytics that I've gone on here this morning.
Real quick question, Sam. People like you who come out of the game, do you get tapped up to do scouting and things of that nature?
Not really. I think it's just another line of potential employment that players go down. I've done a little bit of scouting. Obviously, got friends at a lot of clubs. I would love to be a chief scout somewhere or head of recruitment or something like that. But I think it's like coaching. It's like the media. You have to commit to it, don't you? And probably get in early somewhere, going and watching games for a club initially where you're probably getting paid expenses or a couple of £100. You're not going to earn your millions doing that, but obviously it's the start of a trajectory that could take you into one of those roles that I just mentioned. I did a bit of scouting for a couple of clubs in the infancy, the early days of retirement, but obviously the media work I was doing was the thing I was most passionate about. And obviously, once I was on that journey, it was a progression that's continued to the current day. So I think it's the same for all of us. But yeah, it's obviously a role that a lot of my friends are in currently. Ex-players are working at various clubs, and it's another position and opportunities for ex-players. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting, very interesting. And that probably just goes to show why you're going to be way better at this next
Mhm.
exercise than I am. We're going to go through in alphabetical order. We'll start with Blackburn Rovers. I'm not sure about this pick that I'm going to give you. I'll go first on this one, Sam, because it's probably the transfer a go. I should have picked him. But I'll say Todd Cantwell just because I like the rehab job. And I think if you're looking at upside, not just at Blackburn, but throughout the Championship. This is a player who was actually better in the Premier League with Norwich than he was in the Championship with Norwich. So I'll start off with Todd Cantwell, just because I've always kind of found him a kind of fun, flamboyant,
Mm.
show-offy type player. And I think he's got a very high ceiling, although his value's obviously just gone up massively because he's already done the deal this past summer. But what's your pick for Blackburn?
Well, to contradict everything that I've just been saying, I'm going to go probably for an injured player now. I'm not sure how long he's going to be
Okay.
out for, but I'm probably going to go for Hayden Carter. Um,
Okay.
I mean, I like what I've seen from Leonard, for example, the centre forward, and Dolan. Travis has had a good season. Hashi's caught the eye with his finishing, so he would probably be the closest. I agree with you with Cantwell, but I'd go for Hayden Carter, 24, versatile. I think there's going to be a lot of clubs looking at him. Unfortunately, he's going to be out long term now. It looks like, but I think the age of him, the amount of games that he's played, and what he's shown so far to be a good competitor, but competent on the ball in different positions as well. He will, I'm sure, get a move. To a club probably knocking on the door of the Premier League, or maybe in the lower reaches of the Premier League at some point for decent money.
Campbell and Carter sounds like a steakhouse. What a good start. Bristol City, Sam, you go first.
Ooh, this one's quite tricky, I think. Yeah, I found this quite tricky. I mean, I love Scott Twine. That's a long-standing admiration. Mehmeti as well, probably of similar ilk. Gets you off your seat, capable of producing magical moments, and I think Mehmeti's doing that on a more regular basis. However, I'm going to go for Jason Knight.
Okay.
In terms of his age, captain in the club at the moment, or certainly has done in recent weeks. All action. Obviously, they're playing around a little bit with the midfield, but I think he's really grown into the season now and starting to be a real leader after maybe a little bit of an indifferent start. So I think if we're talking currently, the form that he's in, if I can play this one in that fashion, right now, I think he's one of Bristol City's most important players. So I'd go for him.
Well, I'll take Twine then. I just love the creative, the free kicks, and that type of player. We've always, I mean, you can speak way better about Twine than me with your Swindon hat on, but we've always kind of wondered, absolute baller in League One. If he does anything similar in the
Hmm.
Championship, he will be signed by a Premier League club. So there's just that upside. He's just my kind of player as well. Goals, assists, key passes, free kicks, long ranges, and scored one of the best goals at Portman Road we've seen down there for
Yeah.
many a
I mean,
year as
it's
well.
interesting as to why. I know there's been injuries and what have you, but why he hasn't really stamped his authority on the Championship over a long period of time, a longer period of time, maybe. And there's just those flashes and still some uncertainty about him. It's probably where you fit him in. He's probably a number
Mm.
10, isn't he, really? But he gets shunted on the left quite often. Dependent on the formation that the managers are playing. He, lovely kid in my experience. Well, he's a man now. He's not a kid. He's been around for a number of years. But yeah, you hope that he really settles down and starts playing every week and getting those numbers back where they were when I suppose he first came through Newport. He had that really fruitful loan, and then obviously MK Dons was great for that season when they got to the playoffs as well. So yeah, really talented boy. And yeah, had he started the season slightly better, then he would have been my pick, certainly.
Burnley's boring, Sam. I reckon we'll pick the same one. Maxime Estev. Yeah, you got a France under 21 international, and we're very much in. If I were a Premier League club, with a little bit of cash to splash, left-footed centre half. So I'll take Estev, and I've put him in quite a few lists in terms of
Hmm.
players with high ceilings and high value players. What do you think?
Yeah, he certainly was in our chat when he for centre halves when we did the team of the season so far. Certainly, he was the one that we spoke about from Burnley. I've kind of penciled in Egan Riley, James Trafford as other options, but I'm going to go for Koleosho if you're going for
Yeah.
Estev, just other end of the pitch. Obviously, flair, flamboyant on the ball, capable of the spectacular. And I think, in a side that at times this season has not really produced too much going that way, he is the one that is exciting. And again, 20 years of age, I'm sure that he's going to be, back playing at a top level club, whether it's with Burnley or elsewhere in the near future.
Cardiff, Sam.
Oh, yeah, quite tricky this one as well. I'm going to go for Alex Robertson. I think starting to show his class now. I think he might have missed the last one or two, but certainly there's been a little niggle there. But I think he's had some real standout performances. Brilliant for Portsmouth last season. Obviously, a lot of people were in for him from City, so technically exquisitely gifted midfield player, and Pompey certainly are missing that craft that he brought to their side last year. Can do a little bit of everything. Got a good goal recently as well for Cardiff. So yeah, he would probably be my pick.
Yeah, I've gone the same, Sam. So we completely agree on Alex Robertson there. And I think we go in age and pedigree and
Colwill
potential.
as well would be there,
Yeah,
but
Colwell's very
it's
much.
hard to love him because you're wanting
It's been a
more. And I
long
think
time since he
yeah,
broke through, Sam, and you want more, don't you?
Yeah, I think Bellamy said as much the other day, maybe in
Right.
quite strong terms. Actually, I think he got a little bit of criticism, maybe for the way I certainly read some stuff that's a little bit harsh on a young player, but I know what he means. He's got so much. I remember watching him in the derby at, I think it was at Swansea, maybe last season. He came on, he just beautiful footballer when he's at it, and he can really impact games and change the kind of feeling of it. But you want to see it a little bit more from him, and that's probably what the Welsh manager was echoing. But yeah, let's see if it has a positive impact on him, because he can be a real game changer for Cardiff.
Coventry, Sam. I'll go for Van Evik, the right
Oh,
wing back. I know they put a bit of money behind him, but no, very, very on brand Coventry. Sort of signing over from Europe, and as I say, prepared to spend that level of cash and then develop. And he's very consistent, always up and down. If you sat on one of the sides at Coventry, you probably really enjoy watching him. Looks such a reliable player, and I think he could play in the Premier League, Sam.
yeah, I think we're quite blessed when you're looking at Coventry because of the amount of young players they've got that have got real potential. There's two for me. Toss of a coin. I think the most important player is Ben Sheaf, and he's going to obviously be getting a move, I would imagine, to the Premier League at some stage. I got to back Hadji Wright though. Got to back my man
Bloody
Hadji.
love Hadji Wright, don't you?
I've got to back Hadji. I mean, there's a little bit of a reluctance in my voice because I think Sheaf may be a more sure thing. Do you know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
I think Sheaf goes to, for example, an Ipswich or wherever he's
And
going to end
plays.
up. He plays and he's going to fit
Yeah.
into it. But I just think there's real growth in Hadji. I love his positivity. I love him getting turned and running at people. It doesn't always come off, granted, but I think he's got so many good ingredients in his game. And now he's starting to get the goals as well. I think he could get bundles this season. I'm still convinced he could get bundles this year. And I think at 26, he is someone, if he could, really hit consistency, not
Oh, mate,
maybe get,
US World Cup in 26 as well,
yeah,
yeah?
like maybe not do what Gyökeres is doing. Do you know what I mean? But I
Right.
think if he could get into the top flight, I think the goals could continue to come and he could become a better rounded player. So I'm going to go Hadji.
I'm going to make a guess for Derby that you're going to pick one of their two European signings, but I don't know which one.
No,
No, neither?
no. Is it me? I'm going to go
Interesting.
for David Ozo, who's only played
Oh,
5 games.
I'm going to say the same thing. You love David Ozo too, as well,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. Well, I'm seeing Derby in a few weeks' time, and I'm be looking forward to that. I think he's out for a little bit longer, and he's only played the 5 games, but 3 of those were victories. Obviously, I've seen him get sporadic minutes at Palace, being trusted. I think it was Roy Hodgson maybe that gave him his first team bow, certainly prior to Glasner coming in. But I've seen him get minutes in the Premier League, combative, obviously can get up and down, uses the ball well. I think he looked like he was going to be a really important player for Derby this year, and he's 19. So he would be the one that would be getting the checkbook out.
Okay, I won't go for Zetterstrom then. I'll go for Hoodmine in central midfield. I just like the profile, and not to denigrate the other Derby players, Sam, but when you look around the team, it's very kind of sturdy, experienced, and there's just that little sprinkling of fun there with Hoodmine as well. Moving on to Hull City, I think I might go Liam Miller because we both like him, don't we? And he doesn't often start though, does he? But there must be a reason why he doesn't
He's
start. I
out
don't know
now as
how.
well, isn't he? Him
I
and Balumi
know.
are out now.
Yeah, I don't know how well he trains, but um, yeah, just whenever you see and what is he Preston as well, and he kind of
Yeah,
impressed. Then just looks like a bit of a game changer to me. So I'll back our man Liam Miller down the wing.
I think I'm going to have to go Balumi. I've Charlie Hughes was another one. I just
He
think
was quite
again,
expensive,
young.
wasn't he?
Sorry.
He was quite expensive, wasn't he?
Yeah, from Wigan, him and
Hmm.
Kamara, but I think there's a bit of uncertainty there. I know that's a nice gamble to make, given the conversation we're having. They could become, top level players. Just think Kamara let go by Norwich, or allowed to leave decent money though. They paid. I think I'd just go for Balumi from what I've seen. Young lad, really exciting, technically excellent. Obviously going to be out long term now as well. But I've enjoyed what I've seen from him. Hughes is now in the team and performing really well. There's been certainly a lot of promise there after that kind of chastening first half an hour or whatever he had when they got beat 4-0 at Norwich and he came on and give one of the goals away. So there is real promise there, but I'll probably just go for Balumi on what I've seen, and he looks to be a really exciting capture.
Leeds.
Oh, I'm so glad I got to go first here. Nonto, I think. I mean,
I'm going to go the same, so you can elaborate a bit more, and I won't
well,
need to talk
it
about it.
seems like he's been around forever, doesn't it? And he's still only 21. You want to see the numbers increase, don't you? I think
You
over
do.
a period of time because I suppose he flatters to deceive in some games, but I've enjoyed watching him when I've seen him live the last few occasions. I think he's afforded a little bit of flexibility within the system to roam around, and that's problematic for opposition. He drops into the number 10 quite a lot if he's starting wide. But yeah, just want to see a few more goals. I think, there's so many 24, 25 there. Ampadu, Ramazani, Gruev, Solomon, Strauk's been amazing by all accounts. I've not seen him too often live so far this season, but I think Nonto is ready made, isn't he? And will come in and affect absolutely any championship outfit at the moment, and probably Premier League teams as well.
Yeah, he's the one kind of cheat codey player left after a bit of a exodus there in the summer. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. Luton, I'm a bit torn, Sam, because I always pick the creative guy, which means I'd pick Chong, wouldn't I? But I just think like Morris, more so than Adebayo, is a bit of a guarantee. But then I might be picking a striker for Middlesbrough as well. Let's go Chong because he's just my type of player, for goodness sake, isn't he? And I think he can really kind of carry a team. And I've got to say, Sam, I mean, you've seen more of them than me, but when I have seen them struggling and stinking it out, I still think he's actually been quite good and been carrying them forward in the what was that horrible draw they played? I can't remember who they were playing.
West Brom.
West Brom, and even in the defeat against Coventry, I thought he was good. So I'll say Taif Chung. I've always liked him since he was on loan at Birmingham.
That surprises me, actually. You left the door open there. I'm tempted to go like proper
you're going to go
curveball
Alfie
here.
Doughty, are you?
Yeah, I mean, him or Mengi, I would go.
Okay.
Obviously, Mengi was looking like he was going to Italy, I think, in the summer, obviously out of Man United. I think his performances have been a little bit indifferent this year. Hopefully I haven't got that wrong, but certainly there's not been, that ultimate trust maybe in him that the Luton supporters had during the Premier League season. I'd probably go for Doughty. Doughty for me is someone that doesn't, really, I don't know, he's not got guile or craft, has he
He
really?
does
He's
one
just
thing
so
very
effective.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, so effective, but incredible engine, liable to put delicious delivery in that ends in a goal so often. The statistics, back up him in every department in terms of the assists, the creativity, the defensive diligence. And he's still a young lad and he's got vast experience. So I'd probably go for him. I was tempted to I love the look of Zach Nelson, young lad, but obviously there's a bit of uncertainty there.
Full
And
back.
Joe Taylor has obviously had some really good fruitful goal scoring loan spells. So they're two young lads, and there's others, young players to keep an eye out for. But I'd probably go Alfie Doughty now because his stock is so high and his performances are so good.
Middlesbrough, Sam, you going to go USA here again?
I'm not. I'll go Ben Doak.
That's
Ben Doak?
naughty. He's absolutely bossing it at the moment. He did well for Scotland as well, didn't he?
Yeah, again, this is tricky because of I really like Morris, Hackney, Azaz, Latte Laff. I've spoken about loads on the podcast. There's something about him. There's something about Latte Laff. His movement's good. He's a finisher. But yeah, Doak, from what I've seen, he was the difference in that QPR game. I think he's going to be the difference in a lot of games this season. So direct. I mean, he moves at incredible speed, but also he's got good ball control. Supplied a lovely assist for Riley McGree on that night, and everyone's rightly raving about him. So, 19, he could be a top talent. So I'd have to go for him right now.
Yeah, very high ceiling, hasn't he? I'll go Latte Laugh just because you're goal scorer and you're guaranteed, and I think we might see some bids in January. I think club close to you and me is pretty much confirmed to have bidded in.
Oh, really?
Bidded in August. So I think people will be back. I think they should keep hold of him, Borough. But you just, if you've got that goal scorer,
What a brilliant bit of scouting if he does move to the Premier League.
Where did they get him from?
I want to say Germany, but I
Yeah,
could be
no
wrong.
idea. I'll look it up while we're talking.
What was it?
And
No, I think it was somewhere a bit more rogue. Was it the Swiss league? Go on, you look it up. I'll keep talking. But yeah, he is
Saint
definitely.
Gallen. What league? Switzerland. Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right.
Thank you. There we go.
Yeah, great bit of scouting for sure. Let's move on to Millwall, and it's got to be Tanganga, really, hasn't it? It seems he just, you know, impacts the team massively. Has the sort of Premier League pedigree, great age, fits them perfectly. Probably is the highest resaleable asset, if unless Remain SA really puts
Mm.
together a load of numbers this season. So I know it's predictable, and we've loved him when we're talking about Millwall. But Tanganga, Sam,
Yeah, I mean, you boys like saying the eye test, and that's all I'm going to go on here.
yeah,
Um, Taking out the sellable asset that he is, and the previous Premier League association with Spurs. Yeah, I mean, he's amazing without the ball. First and foremost, how aggressive he is, his defending, he's so strong, but also his use of the ball is getting better and better and better. So, yeah, he's looking like a top player, and I think would absolutely get into a lot of Premier League teams the way he's playing at the moment. But you've gone for him, mate, so I'll have Essay, no problem.
okay.
No problem. Yeah, I've seen a level of maturity from him in the performances this season, using the ball well. He's not trying to beat his man every time. There is an unpredictability about him when he gets 1v1. Can go either way. Scored a brilliant goal against Argyle in the game that I saw him. So I think he's really developing at a fast rate, and becoming one of their most important players. So yeah, he's been incredibly impressive. So I'm more than happy to go with the flair player.
Norwich, is there any point in even doing it?
Oh, if I'm going first, lovely. I think there is, once I've got my name out of the way, because I think there's three or four others who would enhance every championship team, no question. But science, yeah, it's just been obviously maybe a little bit inconsistent prior to this season, and now we're just seeing, at a ridiculous level, one of the best, opening 3 or 4 months to a championship season ever, maybe, from an individual. Just outstanding goals, but affecting every game. It doesn't really, from what I've seen, he's not having quiet games. Even in the defeats, he's contributing. So I'm not seeing him go missing either. He's becoming a real leader. But yeah, and obviously the goals are the things that are catching the attention of everyone in the country, really, probably even people that don't follow the championship with a close eye. But yeah, his performances are incredibly high standard. But yeah, I would say obviously there's a centre forward who would improve every championship team, and a couple of fullbacks in Fisher and Doyle as well, who young lads doing really well as well.
Yeah, got to be science, hasn't it? Because you think maybe big Premier League bids and maybe European bids as well are coming from him. Oxford, I'll be predictable. I'll go Goodrum, because just when you look through that team again, similar thing I said to Derby as a League One promoted team. There's some experienced guys who've done well, but there's your young saleable asset who's done well in the Championship already. So it won't be any surprise for Tyler Goodrum for me, Sam.
Yeah, I think loads of good young players they've obviously gone and got in the last window. People like Cumming, I think he's 25 odd now, but Dane Scarlett, Ebiowe, players that could potentially go on and become top players. Kieran Brown got in my team, didn't he?
You
I
love
think
Kieran Brown,
he got in
yeah.
my team. But you know what? I'm going to go against the vibe here that I've laid down. I'm just going to go for the ready-made top man, Cameron Brannigan, from the
Yeah,
last,
ready to
four,
go.
5 years, 28 now. Perennially seemed to be linked in on the last day of windows that he was off here, there, and everywhere. Now that he's showing it in the championship, maybe, you know, um, with respect, a bigger club in the second tier might actually get him over the next year or two, and he can get that opportunity to play, for a team that have got maybe aspirations of getting in the top flight. But yeah, top class operator and so important to Oxford. One of the most important players probably across the Division 4 and individual club. The new Jed Wallace, maybe, who I thought for Millwall for so many years. I actually told him this when I saw him one day. I think we worked on something together, but my line was always, I think Jed Wallace is the most important player to any club in the Championship, as he was to Millwall for 3 or 4 years.
It's a great line, Sam. Plymouth.
Oh, I'm probably going to say Sissoko, and I think
Who's
he's
on
out.
loan? Yes, so you could get him at the end of the season as well.
I'm not fully convinced. You can hear in my voice there. I'm not fully convinced, but there's about 4 or 5 that are on a bit of an even keel here. Randall, Whittaker, the 2 centre halves, Gibson and Such. I think they've been really good. Whittaker, I've just seen him have a few in different games, so that's why I'm a little bit reluctant. But as a match winner, game changer, he has to play first and foremost, and he will get his move. But I think maybe to become a Premier League player, he just needs to polish up some other sides of his game. I mean, he guarantees you probably a dozen goals from outside the area or free kicks or whatever. Yeah. He guarantees you that. So, you got to find a place for him in your team. I just think there's something about Sissoko, just flair, just real eye-catching performances. He's been one of the standout kind of signings, I think, in the Championship this season, just a little bit left field. So I'm going to go for him, but I'm not fully convinced as I say it.
Yeah, I'll take Souks then, because Whittaker would be too obvious. And you're talking about a fun, lovely bit of scouting. How old is he's not old, is he, Souks either? And was he
24 maybe? Or maybe younger?
Yeah, maybe even younger. Yeah, Hungarian centre back, could look like a really really great bit of recruitment. That so yeah, to avoid the predictable of picking Whittaker, who's been linked with all and sundry over his time, hasn't he? At Plymouth, I'll go for Souks, the centre back who you mentioned. Sam, for Pompey, I mean, Callum Lang obviously sticks out massively, and he's only 26 and he's played a couple of hundred games. There's one season for Oldham with 16 goals when he's just starting out, and then one for Wigan with 18. You'd love to see him get nice double figures, somewhere between 10 and 20 goals, and just prove himself and establish himself at Championship level. Obviously, Potts, it's another low knee though, isn't it? We've already had a couple of those. So look, he burst into the season, didn't he, with a great performance at Elland Road. Let's go Callum Lang.
Oh, am I not allowed another low knee? I think my low knee's going to...
You can do it however you see fit, yeah.
Oh, I'll go Colby Bishop then. I'll go Colby Bishop. And now, I mean, that's a shout because there's obviously no guarantee that he's going to be as productive in the second tier as he has been further down the food chain. But I really like this boy. I think he's an excellent hold-up player. How they're going to get the best out of him, we'll see, because, it's a different and a difficult challenge for Pompey this year where he's probably not going to get as many chances. So he's going to have to be really effective with his back to goal play and bringing people in, so on and so forth. But yeah, I was going to have Potts, obviously the kind of Robertson replacement in the midfield at Pompey.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah.
I got real admiration for Bishop. Incredible story. Great to see him back scoring the other day. So let's hope he goes on and gets them kind of double figures.
Who are you going for Preston, Sam?
Well, I think Frockier Jensen, Emil Rees, for example, I do like them. And I think, there will come a time maybe when we see better numbers and more consistency from them. I know Emil Rees had a purple patch previously. I think Ali McCann's getting a lot of plaudits. I'd probably just go Kessler-Hayden. Kane Kessler-Hayden, obviously another low knee, sorry, but I think some standout performances. I think real potential there. Someone who I feel, when ultimately maybe has to leave Aston Villa, I think he's still at Aston Villa, I think he's still alone, could get a really good move and be one of those signings that progresses and Aston Villa, with hindsight, think, were we too hasty in letting him go? So I think it's we're probably talking about the Championship, but then someone who could maybe become a Premier League player in time. Still only 22. Obviously, very, very dynamic down the right hand side. Capable of providing assists. Someone who's, I think, been pretty consistent for Preston so far this season.
Yeah, you make a really good point, and I think it's been a bit of a problem for Preston building stars and selling them on for good money. Because when you're thinking about talking about McCann there, I did think about Alan Brown, and Alan Brown was always really kind of highly rated, and he stayed there, and he stayed there, and he stayed there, and he stayed there, and then they didn't never get a big payday for Hugill, didn't they, back in the day? But Callum Robinson they got a big payday for to Sheffield United, but yeah, you kind of look and you see where's the next one. And I think I'll go with you on Kessler Hayden. I saw him for Plymouth and he looked like a Premier League loanee. He just looked very, very sort of neat and tidy, maybe even more so than a lot of his teammates. So, yeah, but I do want to see, it'd be great if Reece would bang in a load of goals or Frokier would be a bit more consistent. But, yeah, nothing's really popping out massively, which is probably going to be the same deal as I go on to QPR here. Is Dembele there permanently, Sam, or is he just on loan?
He is now. Yeah, he was a loan initially, wasn't he? And then I think they got it done after his start to the season.
I suppose I'd better go Dembele then, because we did Fev's quiz the other day, didn't we? And his attacking numbers were actually in the top of the division. But I think the recruitment's been a bit disappointing. You said a few times, haven't you? So we'll go Dembele, and I'll see what you say.
Yeah, he probably would have been my one. I'm probably torn between two others if I can't have him. Just wanted to give a shout to Kieran Morgan, who's the young lad who's played maybe the last 3 or 4. Looks like a good prospect.
Midfielder, yeah?
Yeah, looks like a good prospect. Obviously, too early to probably go all in on him. He was at Spurs previously. Nice passer. Looks to have good awareness, good understanding of the game. I wouldn't have thought he was 18. Watching him live in a couple of games recently. So I'm torn between Jake Clark-Salter and Chair, who obviously I really rate Chair, but there's just something not quite. But maybe it's his time. I'm going to go with Chair. Maybe it's his time that he needs a fresh start. Hopefully he's going to get fully fit and impact things this season. And if he can do that, then QPR won't have any trouble, you would think, about relegation. If him and Dembele, I think they're key. If they can get at it. Clark-Salter makes QPR a much better defensive side when he's in there, the balance. And I think, again, there'll be clubs looking at him. But I think Chair just has the greater potential. And if he went somewhere and hit the ground running, he could be a real game changer for the next 3 or 4 years.
On to Sheffield United, Sam. You're up first.
Well, this is the hardest and the easiest because there's so many. You could go for. I was going to go for the goalkeeper.
That's interesting, Sam. So I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you saying in terms of individual star quality smattered in the team, Sheffield United's got the most?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're seeing maybe that. I think they've been really good, but it's hard fitting all them in, isn't it, at the moment, and getting that right balance. And maybe that's why they're not, smashing teams. So let's go Vinny Souza. I think someone that, plays a very specific, specialised role. And I think we were talking the other day about kind of midfield enforcers, people running games in the middle of the pitch, and it was quite hard to think of too many that have had a greater impact maybe in recent times in the Championship. So, and he's a young lad as well. So, I mean, there's so many: Raksaki, Suter, Arblaster, Armin Hodzic. All of these guys have got another 8, 9, 10 years ahead of them, minimum, some of them. So, I'm just going to go Souza in terms of someone ready-made who'd go in and probably walk into every Championship side.
Oh, I'll go Harmer then. It's so obvious. I just think you can go quite far down the league with a player like Harmer and say, if you took him, put him in that team and he played 40 out of the 46 games, he's like a force of nature. Most of them probably end up like 5-10 places higher up the table, or most of them in the playoffs as well. I've just seen him run games by himself before when he was at Coventry, and I think he'll do that at Sheffield United as well. Whether you'd be signing him as a Premier League club or a top Championship club, you can afford him to sign him from one Championship club to another. So, boring, obvious, but I'll do it. Sheffield Wednesday, Sam. I know
Go on.
Well, I know the wingers get a bit plaudits. They don't tend to start though, do they? Musaba, Gassama. Shea Charles is a very expensive guy who was at Southampton, but he's on loan, isn't he? I don't know who to pick here, Sam. Do you have a view?
Well, yeah, I'd go for Famiwo, the centre half.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, who I think's been really good this season. Again, got a lot of years ahead of him. Good competitor, decent on the ball. He's injured now. Unfortunately, got injured in that game that I covered at Portsmouth. But I think he's been eye-catching for them defensively. Shea Charles would be my other one. Ugbo's obviously had this real difficult return to the club. The two wingers, obviously, I did think about as well. You could get Windass now, I'm sure, and get a good return in the Championship in terms of his assists and his goals in particular. But I think Famiwo is probably the one who, could kick on again, given how well he's playing at the moment or how well he was playing start of the season.
Okay, I'll go Gassama then on the basis of that. Was it a late goal he scored against
Coventry away,
Coventry?
wasn't it?
Yeah. I'll go on that one. But yeah, a little bit. Again, I don't know. Wednesday fans, let us know in the comments. More the sum of the parts rather than the obvious star player. Doesn't necessarily have sell-on value because he's been doing it for 15 years or whatever already. So, Stoke City, you're up first, Sam.
Oh, yeah, I've got a number of players scribbled down. I'd probably go Lewis Kumas if I can go for another loanee. Bae-Jun Ho, in terms of someone that's there permanently, was right there. A bit of a toss of a coin. I think he's shown some really electric performances this season. I think he's up to 5 assists now. He's South Korean international. A lot of clubs looking at him, I think, in the summer. You've got obviously Tom Cannon, Johansson had that amazing performance the other day and came with such a strong reputation after what he'd done previously at Rotherham. But I think Kumas, some of the performances, some of the goals, interestingly, not maybe had the impact that I was anticipating after those initial first few games when he got goals and what have you. But I think he looks like a real talent. So I'd probably just go for him. Manhoff as well, another one to throw into the mix who's had an eye-catching start to the season.
That's where I was going. The Dutch lads, Berger and Manhoef. Manhoef's got the numbers. I think he might have had a couple of winning goals as well, hasn't he? I'll go Berger though because I don't know. I feel they've invested in him, decent age, and you always build around and outwards from a strong central midfield player, and he kind of strikes me as being in that mould. So I'll go Wouter Berger.
They scored in the 3-1 South Korean win in Kuwait on Thursday.
Well, how about that? And has he got 5 assists as well, Bay? Footmob is telling me. Yeah, that's could be
recent match, 14th of November. Yeah, so he scored 2 goals in the qualifiers so far. So there you go.
Sunderland, it'd be easy to do the obvious, but I won't because we've loved Dennis Serkin, and I think he it's one of those annoying ones because we're all over him, and then he in the last game dribbles it up the pitch and smashes it in the top corner, and now everyone's all over him, aren't they? So we'll go Dennis Serkin, and I'll leave the door open for the more obvious ones for you.
I'm going Bellingham.
Yeah,
I'm going Bellingham. Yeah, I think more consistency. Maybe
is Rig just too expensive now? Yeah,
yeah, maybe. He's been a big miss though, hasn't he, Bellingham? When he's not been available, I just love his maturity on the ball. I think he just looks like a complete footballer, doesn't he? And also, I mean, the mentality of his brother as well. I think you have to throw in like there's just something incredible about them. The way
Yeah.
they carry themselves, maturity on and off the pitch. So I'd be very surprised if he doesn't grow to be a serious top player. So yeah, I mean, I'd love Rig. I think there's been a few indifferent performances, a few quiet performances, which is natural. I just think Bellingham looks like a leader already. So I'd probably go for him. I mean, he's going to cost an arm and a leg, isn't he, when the time comes?
Arm, a leg, a head, and a body. I think he's
Mm,
going to be worth a fortune, isn't he? But yeah, Sunderland have, it was very risky, wasn't it? We said last season they got no experience, they got no one. But
mm.
as these players have all, kind of stepped up, they're worth a small fortune. Sam, I am fascinated. Well, I think you're going to pick a centre back, but I'm fascinated to know who you're going to pick for Swansea. Feels very open.
Oh, mate, 5 years ago, I would have had my former teammate all day long, Grimes. I'd have had
Yeah,
Grimes. I'd have had Grimesy 10 years ago. I'd have had Grimesy 5 years ago. I probably would have had him three
only
years ago.
29, mate.
Yeah, I know. I know. I just think same reasons that I've spoke of previously, the two centre halves. Franco, I think, shown some promise. You got Ronaldo as well. I think it's difficult Swansea at the moment to go for a forward player. I
None
know
of them. I was
Franco's.
just thinking the same thing, Sam. I'm looking at
Mm,
Franco, Ronaldo, and Vipotnik, and it's like, well,
mm,
something could happen with them, but who's ready to go right
yeah,
now?
yeah. So I'd go Harry Darling. I think just over Cabango. Same conversation I had when we were doing the team of the season thus far. Those two have been superb. Obviously, there's an opportunity, I think, still that they could leave. Sorry, Swansea fans. I'm not sure the latest with the contract situations, but yeah, obviously, Darling, I think, is an excellent ball playing centre half, and have shown this season, him and Cabango, that they can really defend their box as well. So I'd probably just go there, but obviously Franco in midfield and the aforementioned front players could come good yet. But yeah, we'd be playing a bit of a guessing game.
I'll agree with you on the basis that the contract could come up, and if I'm throwing in a Parkin narrative, you can get him for free maybe at the end of the season. So I'll double up on Darling. And I remember we had a really good look at him when we were working on the EFL thing when he first signed from MK, and I think he's gone from being a bit of a lightning rod for the normal questions about Russ Martin's football to just a very reliable Championship centre half. Sam, I think we're going to pick the same player for Watford. So I'll just say his name and you can talk about Georgi Chakvetadze. Are you picking him?
I don't have to, mate. I don't have to.
Well, I'll pick him and he's
Go on then.
great bloody fun. I don't know structurally how easy it is to fit him in a team because he's a bit mavericky, isn't he? And a bit,
Hmm.
he's marching to the beat of his own drum, but he puts the numbers up. And you talk about Watford get lots of criticism. The Potsos get lots of criticism. But in terms of a club pulling exotic signings out of absolutely nowhere, they always do it, don't they?
Yeah, and there seems to be kind of some signing or another who's kind of like the flavour of the month, and he
Hmm.
seems to be the one this season. I remember Loser having a period where he
Yeah,
was catching
player.
the eye, but maybe not. I was going to, well, I thought you might go with Andrews, who I think, did he not make
I've
your
picked him.
team?
Yeah, I've picked him for a few things. So yeah, I've left him
Mm.
off this one.
Well, I'll probably go for him in terms of like his potential growth. Obviously, real good outlet on the right hand side, offers attacking impetus as well. If he's deployed as a wing back, I think he's got a goal maybe this season or two. So yeah, or I've certainly seen him contribute in that regard previously. So I'd go with over him, but Czech Batadze is obviously the one that's been catching the eye, the creator. Seeing them Friday at Argyle, so I will report back. Bar was the other one. Obviously saw quite a bit of him coming through at Rochdale when he was the next great hope, and there's obviously been some real promise in his performances really recently as well. So they would be my three, but I wouldn't argue with Czech Batadze being the one right now.
And finally, Sam, West Brom. All managers that face them say, "Oh, they're very experienced and they're very big." But where's the value, Sam?
Oh, got to be Madger, just from Fellows. I think, and probably that's what you say, recency bias, because Fellows has just dropped off, certainly in terms of the assists and the
Surely Fellows has
numbers.
got a higher ceiling than Major Sam, hasn't he?
Um, yeah, but I think Major goal scorer
Hmm.
is someone that could, again, maybe have a couple of incredibly fruitful seasons at West Brom, and then the Premier League team takes a punt on him, or he goes up with West Brom, and then all of a sudden he's moving around the Premier League, scoring goals regularly. So I'm just thinking in that with that chain of thought. But yeah, Fellows looks really exciting, but you never know. You never know how good he's going to become, and if if the Championship may be his ceiling, but you would like to think that he's going to be a Premier League player in time, given that he's 21.
So you take Major, I'll take Fellows. That
No problem.
sounds like a good deal to me. And that is our one player I'd sign from every Championship club. Get involved in the comments. I know my words will just fall into the ether, Sam, but please don't take it too seriously and um, don't try and drive logic holes through mine and Sam's pick, because you'll find plenty of them. We're just having a bit of fun with it, and we'd encourage you to do the same.
Like the team of the year, though, I'd like to know who's you know
Yeah.
who people think, who people think is the jewel in their crown. Do you know what I mean? Right now, and
And
there'll be people we've obviously missed because we can't watch every minute of every game. So that'll be fascinating.
And that is the key, Sam. Let's be positive about it, and let's celebrate some players who are having really, really good seasons. Get involved in the comments. Sam, just quickly before we round this out, because we're going to do the prediction show ahead of the weekend. The Mouthwatering Match Up poll on the community tab has, with 7%, Luton versus Hull, with 9%, Oxford versus Borough, then a rather large jump with 39%. The Gus Harmer Callum O'Hare derby is Coventry versus Sheffield United. But out in front, the mouthwatering matchup is Millwall versus Sunderland with 45%. And I guess the guys voting for that are thinking Millwall are in great form. Sunderland are at the top of the table. What's the saying? Immovable object, irresistible force. Nil effing nil in we come. We'll wait for that for the predictions. But just give me a quick take on Millwall Sunderland. Do you think that's a worthy mouthwatering matchup?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's difficult to envisage Sunderland going there and dominating proceedings. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And getting out of South London with a comfortable victory. So they have to work incredibly hard. And I think they've shown their ability to roll their sleeves up and fight this season. I would never question that. But going to Millwall after an international break as well, which probably came, I would say, at a good time for Millwall. And there'll be a chain of thought where they've got real rhythm and momentum. But I think after that Stoke draw, just to reset, to freshen up the bodies, and then go into another humongous home game against a team
Humongous.
that is that a word?
It's a tremendous word. It
Um,
reminds me of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love it.
but but I just think, and it's such a cliche, but they'll have a huge away following, and it's another big club coming to the Den. They'll really fancy it, and you can't not look at the Burnley victory and the Leeds victory and think that maybe that's going to happen again. So it's incredibly difficult to call. Have Sunderland got better players across the pitch? Yeah, probably, but they're going to the Den where Millwall are in incredible form, incredible defensively. Um, Probably the smart money would be on a draw, possibly. I couldn't side with either side because Sunderland, when they're on it, are a brilliant watch. They're tactically excellent, coach really well, got some brilliant individuals. But Millwall, in terms of the structure and the potential of what they could be this season, which could be knocking on the door of the playoffs, that's a hell of a shout. But I mean, I think you look at the last 5 results and you can't discount them from achieving something special this season. So yeah, big game, huge game, great atmosphere, undoubtedly. So yeah, one to really enjoy and look forward to for sets of supporters from both clubs.
Right, go and vote and go and get involved in the poll and stick your comments in. So, just a bit of housekeeping. We end the international break and we go into a 3-game week. So, Sam and I are about to do the predictions. Then you won't get a championship check-in podcast. Excuse me. You won't get one at all if this cough transpires into something worse until next Thursday after the midweek round. So get involved in the comments now on every player you'd sign. Sam and I will drop the predictions on Wednesday as well. Go and get your picks in there. And we will see you next Thursday for the next Championship Check-In podcast.